All right, this one is for dancing. For real. This one is for dancing. Can we get up? Shaking your shoulders. Songa, 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 hey, songa, 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 hey.
So let's talk about the paperwork that you need to make your paperwork. And these are some of the procedures, the things that you need to have in place so that you can run your team, run your ship as professionally as possible. So we've already started and created a name for the band. Now, depending on how you want to run it, you could either register a business under my band name, Limited or Enterprises or whatever it is, or you could have like like an umbrella company, then with a band under that. I mean, that's how we've done it at Shamsi. So you register your business. You can register as a business name, or you can register a company. My one piece of advice is, if you do a company, don't register for VAT, otherwise utakulwa pesa. Every year there's a certain amount you have to pay if you're not making up to, is it 5 million or something like that. So register your business name or your company name, and that's done on BRS. You can do that online now. It's super simple. And it'll cost very little money to do the name search and reserve the name and go ahead and start to operate your business. Now, the other thing that you want to register is you want to register with CMOs. CMOs are collection management organizations. And what they do is they collect license fees on behalf of artists, on behalf of musicians, from all different music users or music copyright users. Every time you play a song for public, in a public area, or for your business or whatever it is, what they're doing is they're using the music to enhance their business, and therefore they owe the artist a small license fee. So there's a fee that they pay annually. Right now it's called the KPM license. That's the Camp, Prisk, and MCSK license. That's a unified license now. So they pay it once, and then now these CMOs get that money, they distribute it. MCSK distributes to authors, and I've forgotten the other one. Prisk will distribute to performers, and Camp will distribute to the producers. So just to sort of break that down, if we record a song here, okay, I've come in and I'm like, guys, I have this idea for a song. It goes like this. We learn the song, we record the song, and then it's playing on the radio. If I'm the one who wrote the song, I'm the author, okay? If let's say somebody else wrote the lyrics for the song, that is the writer, okay? So I have my author percentage, they get their writer percentage. The person who pays for the recording is a producer. Producer si yule mse anakaa nyuma ya mixer. The producer is the person who pays for the recording, okay? So that person also gets their cut because they've put in an investment. I've invested my creativity. Me and the writer have invested our creativity, so we get paid for that. The producer has invested his money to pay for the master recording. He gets paid for that, or she gets paid for that. We have to be politically correct and inclusive always. And then the other portion of it goes to the performers. So all the band members who are here performing, and the singer and all that, all those people involved in the recording who lent their voice, their talents, they get paid for that. That's how it's supposed to work, okay? So it's important then to register for, register with these CMOs according to where your band fits. If you're going to be performers, then register with Prisk. If the band is paying for its own recordings, so like what I was saying, you want to, whatever you're charging your client, you want to leave a percentage, a cushion there that will support things like that. So if part of the money that you make you're putting it towards like recordings and stuff like that, then the band becomes the producer, or it's self-produced basically. So you're again paying yourselves as producers. If you're writing your own music, you're authors. So then it's important to register with all the CMOs, depending on, well, again, you register depending on which one fits you best. The other people you want to register with is the Department of Culture. Now, I'm giving you a lot of information that a lot of people, most people actually, maybe 90% of bands in Kenya don't do. They haven't registered with, done a business name. Pesa zote zinaenda tu kwa band leader and then yana distribute. Ngoja KRA kujie wewe. Anyway, so register your business name, register with CMOs, because, I mean, I was just listening to Bien's CTA interview, and he talks about your intellectual property, like, think of it as real estate. It's something that you'll invest in now, and then it will give dividends into the future, if you know how to work it. So your intellectual property, that's where you register with the CMOs. Then now for, with the Department of Culture, which is at the NSSF building, it's important to register with them because they have some interesting opportunities that you would otherwise not know about. So anything that comes through government will either be with the Department of Culture or with PPMC. So let's say maybe the Spanish government wants to do like a residency exchange something. Unless they know musicians here or promoters or something like that, they'll come through the government and the Department of Culture. So the Department of Culture is important because sometimes some of these opportunities will come through the government. So let's say the Ministry of Culture of Spain wants to do an exchange residency with Kenya, and they say we want people who play these genres of music or play on these instruments from Kenya. They'll come to the Department of Culture, unless they know someone personally or unless they have like other connections. They'll come to the Department of Culture. Department of Culture will bring out their list and say, as the people we have, Shamsi Music, we have Ricky na Marafiki, we have Jazik Band, and those are the people who get the opportunities. And then mtakuwa hapa mnalia na mnasema, Shamsi wanashikilia opportunities zote, simuachie watu wadogo, nene. But it's just because you were registered. And registration, I don't even think it's a lot of money. I don't even think hata imefika hata sotano. I think it's even free, but just check. Then also it would be important to register with PPMC, and that's a Permanent Presidential Music Commission. And what they do is all of the state functions, PPMC are the ones who are in charge of it. So if you want to play at Madaraka Day celebrations, if you want to play at Jamhuri Day celebrations, that's how you get in. It's not necessarily at I know my chief, or chief ni mamangu, or whatever it is. You have to be registered with the PPMC, and it's very easy. Even just make a phone call, send an email, okay? There's a form that they'll send you, utajaza, and you'll be in the system. So if you look at even the time when our president released this 100 million for artists, a lot of people were saying, yo pesa haijanifikia, and it's because that was being distributed through PPMC. So the bands that were registered with PPMC, there are some that did like a presentation, and there are some that I think there was some different projects that they worked on. And that money was paid through PPMC. Mimi nilipata hiyo pesa. I mean, it was a one-time payment. Thank you very much. Ilinisaidia sana. But, you know, there are those systems that have to be followed. So if you are starting a band, those are some of the basic things that you can register with, just to put yourself in the best position to get opportunities. And, now, like, you might be wondering, why register a business name or a company name? For us as Shamsi, that was one of the first things we did. And it's because somebody had us play and said, we want you to perform at our company event, such and such and such. Talk to Nani. And we talk to Nani. Nani says we have to be on a pre-qualification list. To be in the pre-qualification list, you have to have a company PIN, you have to have bank statements, blah, blah, blah. And we're just like, sasa hapa. So we had to open a bank account, we had to register the business name and all those things. We all did the whole shebang just for that job. And again, when we did all those things, then you get those doors open for you to get into such arenas. So we've talked about your registration with government bodies, those larger organizational bodies. Now let's talk about the industry. Within the industry, you don't really need to register with who and who and who, but it would be helpful to join an association. Now we have the Kenya Musicians and Performers Association, which is probably the only musicians association in existence in Kenya. So that would be really great for your members to join KEMPA. KEMPA offers very many benefits to its members. Chief among them, or the one that has really been doing well, is legal representation. So I know a lot of you are familiar with NEMA, the National Environment Management Authority, and there's a time like you'd always be hearing in the news, huyu fulani ameshikwa, DJ ameshikwa, this person ameshikwa na nini zake pia zilifungwa, the equipment zinabebwa pia. Why do you carry equipment? NEMA, why? Anyway, so at that time, a lot of people were being jailed. And so what KEMPA did was to come in with its lawyers and get these people legal representation. The other thing that KEMPA has done is kufuatilia payments za watu. If you've been gone into a contract with someone and they refuse to pay, KEMPA comes, wanavuruga watu kidogo, and you get your money. So some of those, and there are additional benefits that are coming up. So join an association like KEMPA. The other people to join, even just like social, like those networks, like Live Bands Kenya is an excellent network to join. So the other associations to join are those more like social interaction groups. There's like Live Bands Kenya, which is they're on WhatsApp, they're on social media as well. And apart from just being a place where live musicians can interact, they also have a weekly notice board. So if you're looking for live gigs in the area, just go to the notice board on Instagram, on Facebook, and you'll be able to see these people are performing at these places. And that's a service that they can offer you as well if you're part of that group. So you can also join genre-specific or instrument-specific groups. Like I know there's a group of drummers, there are groups for keyboard players, for saxophonists, for guitar players. There are also these marketplaces and such, which would be a great place to find gear if you're looking to buy gear. And also, maybe also need to mention, as you're registering your business, there isn't a very specific place to register for a band. So you can register as an entertainment company, offering several entertainment options. That'll help sort of spread the net a bit wider. You just want to make sure that everything you do is covered within, the description of what you do. Now we've talked about your registration with government and those external bodies, your registration with the industry, and now for yourself, you need to have two very important things in place. Things in place. Your accounts and contracts. So accounts basically is just, you want to make sure you're keeping track of how money is coming in and where money is going. Very, very important, because for one, especially if you're registered as a company, you have to file returns every quarter or once a year if you want to. And even as a business name or such, you still need to keep track of your money, because if you don't keep track of it, then you don't know if you're growing or you're doing badly. Excuse me. Then the other thing is contracts. There are very many different contracts that you need. The most obvious one is like a client contract. If ukiitiwa a wedding or something like that, don't just be like, uni beshte wangu, it's all good, because unaweza rukwa, na ukirukwa utarukika, na ukirukika basi tutarukamana. Just kidding. So just have contracts in place. Something that just says the event is happening on this day between these two, the agreement is between these two parties, event is for this date, this venue, and the terms, this is what we're providing, this is what we are not even providing, if you want to put that there. This is what the client is paying, and it is due by this date. If this is not followed, we are following the laws of this territory or land or whatever, in accordance with the government of Kenya or the laws of Kenya, etc, etc. If you want a template for that, you can jump onto bandmanners.com to get a template, a contract template, bandmanners.com. Then the other thing is you want a contract what do I call it? Hey, let me just check. Client contract work for split sheet. Okay. The other thing that you want to have is a band agreement contract, okay? The band agreement is basically, as you're bringing in people into your band, they sign somewhere, and this, whatever they're signing says, these are my rights and my responsibilities within the band. So I'm coming in this capacity. Let's say I'm coming in as a guitar player, and I am going to attend rehearsals. I am going to be there for performances. If I contribute to a song, this is my percentage, or we agree as a band, this is how we'll split money, etc, etc. Because that is so important. I mean, you might think, those things, they'll just bring animosity, or fulani atasema ati this huyu anakula sana, or this other person is getting a better deal, blah, blah, blah. But believe me, those things protect you, protect the friendships within the band, so that if there ever is anything that needs to be addressed, you just go back to the band agreement. So the other thing that is very important that you want to consider is a split sheet. Now, I'd mentioned the different functions that go into like a recording, and how the authors, the writers, the performers, and the producer, how money is split between them. And this is documented in what we call a split sheet. It's a very important industry tool that basically says, these are the people involved in this production, these are their allotted shares, this is how any money coming in is distributed. And it's very important when you're registering your works. So you also have to register works. If you decide to record, you will register with the National Rights Registry, NRR. I don't know if it's .co.k or .gov. And one of the things that they ask for is how you're going to distribute the money, or how the money is supposed to be distributed. And that's done in terms of percentages. So maybe you say the authors get 10%, these other people 10%, this one 20, etc, etc. So the split sheet is another important document. So let's recap what we've talked about. There's stuff to think about before you start the band. You want to think about why you're starting the band, what... Hiyo iko mbali sana ama tu... Oh, iko mbali. So to quickly recap what we've talked about today, we've covered a whole lot of things about how to start a band, and the things that you need to think about. And that at the different stages, let's recap, rewind, selector. At the very beginning, before you start the band, you need to think about why you're starting the band. You think about what type of band you want. Is it original music? Is it cover music? Is it somewhere in between? You want to think about your style or your genre of music. You want to think about, even think about what you want to look like as a band. So the other thing that you want to make sure is in order is that you have a band name and possibly even a logo before you start the band. Now, moving into setting up the actual band, you want to think about those 5 R's. The first one is the roles. Who do you want on the band? What's their function? And what gear, what are they playing or doing? The second one is rehearsals. You want to, how regular are rehearsals? You want to think about that. Where are rehearsals happening? What gear do you need for that? The third thing is repertoire. What are the songs that you're playing? What's your, again, along that line of the genre of music. What are the songs that you're playing? What are the songs that you're rehearsing? So the fourth thing is revenue. How are you making money as a band? Are you doing other side hustles or side projects? Or is it just, music and performing music? also how are you using the money or allotting the money that you're making. And finally, the fifth thing is remuneration. How do you motivate and how do you pay your band members? How much are you paying them? What methods are you using to pay them? And also, what's their currency? Meaning, what's the thing that motivates them to be in the band? So moving on to the paperwork that makes your paperwork. You want to think about the processes, the registration that you have to do with the wider government bodies. So register your business name or your company name, register with the CMOs, those are the collection management authorities, register with the Department of Culture, that would be helpful, and with the PPMC, that's a Permanent Presidential Music Commission, and I talked about why to do those. The other thing you want to register with in the industry, become part of an association, join an association. You can join, like I mentioned, Kempa. You can join wider associations like TASC, the Association of the Art Society of Kenya, rather, TASC. And you can join that as a band. And there are very many different associations, groups, forums, creative working groups that you can be a part of. And that will expand your network. So you can join some of these more like learning groups, like WhatsApp groups, like for keyboard players or organ players or guitar players. Those really help to enhance your learning, so that you're sharing music with each other, you're also learning from each other techniques, latest trends, gear, all those things. And then, of course, now internally, you want to have your account set up. A very easy way to do that, would be to use something like QuickBooks or ZipBooks for your accounting and your invoicing. You want to make sure some of those processes look as professional as possible, like creating invoices, creating receipts for your clients, and quotes and stuff like that. You want to make sure some of the legal things are in place. Have a band agreement, a simple, document that just outlines what are the roles and responsibilities of each member of the band, and what are their rights and duties, all those things. You also want to have a split sheet, which is just now when you record music, it shows who are the people involved and what their allotment is when it comes to now distributing royalties. You have a client contract. This is what you present the client and have them sign, and you sign as well, just to cover all your bases during the event. One of the important things to have in the client contract as well is like some sort of indemnity clause, or if anything happens to your band members, like waiter and angusha drum, that it's them who will pay for that, or if anything, injury, whatever happens to a member of the band, they're the ones who will cover like the bill and everything. I think we've talked about a lot of things, and that we've come to the end of it. Two important things as we go. We've done a lot of serious things that have like a lot of brain power and a lot of strategic things. Again, as a leader, it's just important to be super clear as you're bringing people on board. You have to be clear about, is this a band that we have a dress code or we have uniforms? So we've talked about a lot of things over the past 1 hour, just about how to put together a band, a lot of serious things as well. But I'll leave you with 3 things. As a leader, remember, clarity is kindness. When you're bringing in people to work with you or for you, it's important to be very clear. You want to be clear on the type of band it is, what you're playing, even to nitty-gritties like, do we wear a uniform? What is a uniform? Such things like that. If even stuff like, do we drink on the job? Do we do such things? That needs to be communicated and to be very clear, so that you don't end up having fights ukombeleni. The second thing that I want to highlight is, we've listened to a lot of music even together, especially if you're trying to come to a new direction or pick a new direction. Guys are coming from different backgrounds. Listen to a lot of music together. It really helps to bond you musically, if I can say it like that. There's an excellent example. If you guys know Kina Tots, when they were younger, they used to play in Parklands Baptist Church, and they just used to go to someone's house and listen to music. That's Tots, Kimeto, Ted, Mose. They should just go to someone's house and listen to music. And of course now that shows up in rehearsals, it shows up on stage when you're playing live, because then you have a common language. So the last thing that I'll leave you with is, between all of this craziness or planning, putting things together, all that, you need to have fun, okay? So pick people who you can have fun with, people who you can enjoy a conversation with. I've bonded with my team a lot over the years, because let me tell you what, you go to a wedding, you play for 1 hour. The rest of the time, the 6 hours, what are you doing? You're there for setup, you're there just sitting. These need to be people who you can interact with and just enjoy light-hearted conversations with. You go out of town to play. What are you talking about when you're on the car, on the road, in the air, or in the hotel room? A lot of times you'll go and you'll be sharing rooms or such. These need to be people who you can form a close friendship with. And even if it's not a close friendship, at least be cordial with. So pick people who you can vibe with, and people you think are fun, and people who are skilled. Of course, all those things that we talked about, and just have fun. This has been your masterclass with me, Laka from Shamsi Music, and go out and make some amazing, incredible